Hi, my name's Steve Gilman, co-founder and CEO of OneRange, the intelligent upskilling platform. Upskilling is simply the best way to keep employees retained and effective. 90% of companies believe that providing learning opportunities is the number one talent retention strategy. But if it was so easy, why wouldn't every company be able to do it? Let's take a look at the typical learning journey. Here's Isla. She's a new product manager at her company. She'll get her onboarding training on day one, internal training with the help of her manager, and then she'll log on to an LMS to get her required annual compliance learning. Then she's tossed into a project where she gets on the job training. All of these are designed to get her up to speed and have a minimum requirement for her being at the company. Now, what happens when it comes to upskilling? How does she get ahead and build the skills she needs to succeed and continue to do well for the company? Right now, she's asking for this, and companies are failing. Under 10% employees actually engage in learning programs, and that's because we're missing the mark. Enter OneRange. Our platform empowers users to explore, access, and manage upskilling endeavors through an extensive curated resource marketplace. Here's how it works. An employee will log onto the system, find the skill building activity from across different formats, including course books and conferences, request it, and once approved by their manager, they'll be given access to a Visa-backed virtual card so that the company can sponsor the activity and make sure they have the data around the payments. Now Isla has all the tools she needs when she needs them. And the company, of course, has the ability to manage budget utilization and see all the skill development going on within the company, right down to the individual team level. The key here is we access thousands of different providers across formats. Not only will you see companies you know and love and those different brands that people have relied on, but you'll also see new brands where employees are adding instantaneously a new resource that fits their needs. The impact is clear. We have 9 times the amount of engagement over other learning programs, 5 times more effective spend with no sunk costs, and 2 times the amount of retention with less churn in every company we work with. We're loved by companies and their employees. We have a high activation rate and a 75 net promoter score as compared to a -8 in the learning and development industry. Empower your workforce and automate your employee upskilling with OneRange. Take advantage of our open marketplace, best-in-class AI technology, unrivaled program intelligence, and of course, our usage-based model, which allows no sunk costs. So every dollar is being spent on the right resource. If you'd like to learn more, join us at onerange.co. Thanks.
Great presentation, Steve. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, I seem to hear a lot the term upskilling more and more these days. Why is it becoming important for companies to invest in their workforce's skills over the past years?
Yeah, the term upskilling, new skilling, reskilling, we're really talking about making sure the workforce has the right skills to progress in their career and do right by the company. So everything we talk about in the why now question, the foundational background is the rapid pace of technological change. So from 2017 to 2022, annually, there was a 10% increase in the number of skills you needed to remain in the same position. So in 2017, if you had 18 skills, now you're going to need close to 50% more of that. The staggering thing that we talk about here is over the next 5 years, the skill set will have to double. So those 18 skills you have today needs to be 36, and you have to stay refreshed on the old 18. All that to say is we'll have to learn the same amount of skills in the next 5 years that we did in our entire lifetime experience. And so there's really 2 pieces that come together, which is why we see upskilling so hot right now. One is that companies are struggling to keep up with all the changes. They need to stay agile. They need to remain competitive and outpace their competition. And then really on the employee demand side, we see employees have been eager to learn for years. 77% of employees are eager to learn and believe they need to do it within the year to remain competitive. And so with those 2 things coming together, there's perfect alignment, and we're seeing the upskilling market come together and look forward to it thriving.
Steve, you mentioned engagement as a key metric for your platform. Ultimately, what's the business impact of having a workforce engaged in learning?
Yeah, I think, we see a lot of statistics around getting folks trained to the right level and learning. When we talk about upskilling, we're really talking about codifying a continuous learning culture.
Mhm.
Um, Out of all the things that are going on with Isla's example of the learning she's getting, upskilling is the only thing that makes it continuous. Now, when you have a continuous learning culture, a study by Deloitte shows that companies are 52% more productive and 17% more profitable. Now, traditional learning and development and the LMS tools that exist in the market are not going to get you there, right? Continuous doesn't mean the checkbox training we get annually. It's someone striving and getting what they need time over time to make sure they progress as that skills gap continues to try to fight against us as individuals and as companies.
Let's hear from your customers. OneRange, Mary Spencer, VP of Learning at Waserman Media Group. Welcome, and thanks
Hi,
for joining us.
nice to be here.
What results have you achieved using OneRange?
Oh, they've been tremendous. So we started with OneRange and Steve and the team last July 2023. We had about 1,200 employees, and we had dabbled with some other platforms prior to finding Steve and the team, and we had such low usage rate. And this was honestly just overnight. We had, of our 1,200 employees, about 96% of our employees activated the platform. And of that, 50% selected at least one learning resource from OneRange. It was just honestly astounding in terms of the response that we had to the platform by our employees.
That's impressive. Now, what is the benefits of working with a partner like OneRange instead of attempting to build a professional development program in-house?
Also a great question because, well, again, when we started, we had 1,200 employees. And as Steve and the team know, within the last year, we have grown to a company of 3,400 globally. So we've had a significant amount of growth. And that scale is something that any learning and development team at any company would have a difficult time keeping up with. We have a small learning and development team, very small. We're powerful, but small. And so being able to partner with Steve, they bring in the expertise of this learning and development space, which, as Steve just mentioned, is continually changing, and you have to stay on top of the trends. And it also allowed us to have a platform that is very responsive to our employee needs. Immediately, we as a team of 3 could never respond to all of the various diverse needs across a global business like ours. So partnering with Steve has allowed us to do things at scale, and also in a way that we've been able to offer exactly what our employees are looking for.
And you kind of touched on this, Mary, but what makes the model unique in your opinion?
Yeah, this is my favorite part. Honestly, when we discovered OneRange, we had been partnered with LinkedIn Learning, which is an incredible platform, no doubt. But there are 2 things that make OneRange unique for any company. One is the product diversity, product availability, if you will. The thing that we loved was the notion of the marketplace, meaning not only is there a wide variety of content and learning resources that any employee could identify and find, but it also delivers it in different formats. As we always say, not every employee wants to sit in front of a computer and do an on-demand course. And that typically tends to be a lot of what most platforms offer. Some people like to read. Some people like to listen to audiobooks. Some people like to listen to a TED Talk. Some people like to read a newspaper. There are so many different things that the marketplace offers our employees so they can select and choose what works for them. So that's number one, is the product. And secondly, honestly, was the business model. The biggest issue we have at our company, and again, I'm sure at most companies, is most of the platforms, there's a sunk cost. Here's the fee. You have X number of seats. You're going to pay for it whether an employee uses it or not. And with OneRange, it's based on usage. And the other piece that's great is our employees are in essence given a stipend or an amount of money that we tell them at the beginning of the year. Here is your learning and development budget that the company is giving to you. And you can go onto OneRange now and access and select the resources that are going to work for you. So that model is superb, because as a company, as an individual, I don't have to go into our executive leadership team and say, I need you to agree to a $100,000 contract, versus I'm going to go in and say, I want to invest X amount of money in our employees, And the cost to the company will be based on what they use, which means they are selecting and choosing to learn and develop themselves. So to me and to the rest of us on the team, it's a win-win.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Mary, for sharing your insights with us and for being here. Steve, how can folks get in touch with you and the OneRange team?
Yeah, thanks, Adil. I'm Steve at OneRange.co. We can also access hello at OneRange.co. Feel free to reach out, grab some time. We talk about upskilling, the ins and outs, the different programs that are out there. We'd love to hear from you.